Joining us right now, Grant McAuley on the WadeFord.com hotline, our Braves insider. He covers MLB for us here on 92.9 The Game. And Grant, Murphy was struggling up until last night, and then all of a sudden an explosion, right? A couple of doubles, a home run. He drove in 3. Let's hope he keeps this up.
Yeah, the extra base hits are certainly nice, and you'll take those. And I feel like, it's just such a small sample in the first week or so to look at, especially when you're not playing every day. So I feel like that might have magnified a little bit of the quote-unquote struggles because the hits just weren't there yet. Sean Murphy was taking his walks. He came in with a nearly 400 on-base percentage into last night's game. Then he proceeded to show you what I think everybody wanted to see. A game-winning home run, you'll take that every time you can get it. A couple of doubles, knocked in 3 runs for the Braves. And then behind the plate, he did such a great job with Bryce Elder. It was just such an all-around great game for him. I asked Brian Snitker before the game today, what a game like that does for Sean Murphy. And he says, really, we expect these kinds of things from him, but it was great to see a new guy on this team come in and have that kind of moment to really kind of feel like, all right, I'm here, I'm contributing, not only have I arrived, but I'm a part of this club. So I think that checked a lot of boxes for the Braves, for Sean Murphy, and of course for Braves fans too.
No, it's a great pull. Get the confidence, because again, it's not like, Matt Olson coming and replacing Freddie, but it is a guy that we just don't know him that much. We just don't know what he's about. And I'm telling all off season that he's, going to be Real Muto Part 2, but he looked amazing, looked touched, and he looked like the weight of the world. I know it's, as you said, Grant, small sample size, but it looks like the weight of the world is off his shoulders.
Yeah, and you want to make a great impression, and you only get, as they say, I don't know whose tagline it is and who cares, but you only get that one chance to make a first impression, and he wanted it to be a good one, and I do feel like that's something that, what self-respecting person in any profession doesn't want to make a good first impression, and I did feel like there was a lot of pressure, perhaps, just on him, and just from the optics of, is he going to play every day? Why is he not DHing? And, if Travis d'Arnaud's catching, vice versa, the playing time split. But Smith also brought up the fact that, you look at his lifetime numbers against a lot of the teams that the Braves are going to be playing. He hasn't really seen these teams very much. He is still, even though there's interleague play, learning the National League as he goes too. So this is kind of uncharted territory in a lot of ways, with just not being familiar with these pitchers the way he was with guys in the American League for the last 4 or 5 years.
Let's talk about Bryce Elder for a second. Has he played his way into this rotation?
Yeah, he's definitely made his case to stick around, and I think that the Braves were looking for somebody to come in and give them some continuity. I know we're going to talk about Kyle Wright. That'll go a long way towards it. Return of Max Fried will go a long way towards that. But there had been such a question in the 5th spot of the rotation, and I don't know that I was prepared for the 2 months that we were going to see of the battle in spring training that did not play out the way that anybody really thought that it would. Great story for Jared Schuster, for Dylan Dodd, for them to get their opportunities. Michael Soroka continues his comeback trail. We can talk about that too. Ian Anderson, going to have Tommy John surgery. I mean, that was another turn in this whole thing. But in the background of all of those stories is Bryce Elder, just out there throwing strikes and doing his thing. And he's come up and he's, Gwinnett's opening day starter, first Braves pitcher to throw 6 innings in back-to-back starts this year. So go figure, Bryce Elder has worked his way into the plan. But if you watched him last year, especially down the stretch, you knew this guy was capable of giving the Braves some quality innings, and they're happy to have him doing that.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about it in the updates, but yeah, Ian Anderson, Tommy John surgery, so he's now done, which brings us to a guy who got a chance to show out at Gwinnett. What do you think of Soroka's outing?
Yeah, I'm impressed with what he's been able to do, and it's not just, going out and throwing 6 or 7 scoreless innings, which, I'll take that too, but the stuff is there, the movement is there. It seems like he's been able to use his entire arsenal. He's worked in and out of trouble as he's needed to, or I should say out of trouble when he's needed to. 29 pitches in the first inning today, had to grind a little bit. Then he only needed 40 pitches to complete his 4 innings. He got up to just about 70 pitches. I would think the next step is probably to get to the 80 or so pitch mark and maybe do that a couple of times. And if he's able to and remain healthy, and that's, of course, the big question that we've been asking about the last couple of years, can he just get healthy so he can come on back and rejoin this club? The Braves could have some interesting storylines going in rotation into the final week of April and perhaps into the early portion of May if Michael Soroka is, in fact, ready to make that comeback.
As far as the lineup, we talked a little bit about it and Snit making some adjustments. What do you think about, when you put Sean Murphy in the 4-hole? He's not going to be there all year. This is just one of those adjustments, but we've seen Snit's ability to just have the knack to put guys in the right spot and then things happen.
Yeah, and last night's a great example of that, Carl. And, it may not be 3 hits and 3 runs knocked in, and again, a game-winning home run for Sean Murphy day after day after day. But this is a guy that I do think is going to hit at a better clip and a higher rate than he did in Oakland. And it may not all happen in the month of April. It's a long season. I think he's going to make his contributions, though, and he does have power, and he does have the ability to, give the Braves some maybe continuity in that 4th spot of the order that they're really looking for. 4 through 7 in this order has kind of been a bit of a mess. I mean, you've moved Orlando Arcia up. You're just not getting production from a couple of guys. I know the Marcell Ozuna discussion is one that we keep having, and we're going to apparently keep having for a little while longer, but he hasn't gotten going at all. Michael Harris is out. Travis d'Arnaud is out. It's really taken the Braves' ability to have kind of some continuity there in the middle of that order. It's taken that ability away. So Smith's trying a couple of different things. I think we'll see the mix and match when you need to with Hilliard and Pilar, and with Eli White now up. Those guys will get a little bit of playing time as well. And we'll see how it all plays out. But having Sean Murphy at 4 just makes an awful lot of sense right now, at least from where I'm sitting.
Hey, man, just a tough day at the ballpark for Minter. I mean, that was kind of like the old days of Minter when you get a little nervous when he was trying to establish himself as a closer before we went and got the real closers. I know he pitched on Sunday, and I guess that was just because he hadn't pitched for a couple of days. Anything to that? Were you upset that he had pitched Sunday and he went 2 nights in a row?
No, not at all, because I think that you can still come out and have the same kind of, sometimes the lineup gets a good look at you, and it appeared that the Reds, they got a couple of good swings early, and Minter was able to kind of settle in and get out of the trouble, but obviously the damage had already been done. Kevin Pilar, it seemed like for a moment, had kind of saved the Braves from the possibility of having to go to extras. A ridiculous catch. I went to look at the StatCast data on that, and my buddy Corey McCartney pointed this out. 0% catch probability on that one. I asked Jeff Francoeur about this before the game. He said, I don't know what any ball is going to be 0% if somebody can physically get to it the way Pilar did. How can it be 0%? But it was, and he almost caught that ball and dragged it in. If he hadn't jarred into the wall at that moment, maybe he wouldn't have dropped that ball. So interesting to see, some of the things that play out in certain appearances. But with A.J. Minter, I've said this for a while, and I'll continue. I think he is the Braves' best reliever. I think he's their best weapon, and I think he'll become even more valuable to this team once Raisel Iglesias comes back and can slot into the 9th inning. And then you can use A.J. against really the 3 or 4 toughest hitters in the lineup in the late innings. I think that's really where he made his mark last year and gave the Braves great performance after great performance. And every once in a while, you're just going to have a clunker. That's just kind of the way it goes.